This video is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek goes and finds tickets from all across the web and conveniently puts them into one app, making buying simple. They also rate these tickets from 1 to 100, with the higher the number, the better the deal. Plus, I'm looking out for you. $20 off your first purchase when you use my promo code KTO at checkout. Shout out to my sponsor SeatGeek. Now, let's dive into this video. If we take a look at the early 2000s, Michael Vick had taken the NFL by storm. He broke the mold. Being the most athletic dude on the field while playing quarterback? What could possibly be worse for a defense to deal with?
Stayed active on defense. Young gets away. Great pump fake. Gets the first down and then some. Say goodbye to Vince Young. A beautiful play fake, and Vince Young breaks free. Still going. Midfield still on his feet. They can't stop him. He's at the 40. Amazing. Down the sideline.
People felt like Vince Young was the new prototype. At one point, Vince Young looked like the future of the NFL after winning Rookie of the Year in 2006. He went to the Pro Bowl that season, led 5 game-winning drives, and was placed on the cover of Madden. Then, by 2012, he couldn't even make a final NFL roster.
And here we go again, another drama.
Who are some of the teams that could look to sign Vince Young?
Is this it for Vince Young?
No. I think on both sides, everyone knows that we saw maybe the best sporting event, by far the best college event that has ever been played.
All the dreams, all the hopes for the national championship come down to this play. Young from the shotgun, back to throw. Vince looks, under pressure. He'll tuck it in and run. Vince to the 5. Young, touchdown Texas. Touchdown Vince Young. He's done it again. Vince Young has given the Longhorns the lead.
From the beginning, Vince Young was sensational. In high school, people claimed that he was bigger in the state of Texas than the Houston Texans themselves. In college, he was an unstoppable force. He was big, he was fast, and defenses could only dream of stopping him. He capped off his college career with one of the greatest games ever played. And on top of that, his hometown team, the Houston Texans, possessed the #1 overall pick in the upcoming draft. Now, there were his critics, and there were reasons to have your doubts. Ultimately, the Texans took the safe route.
The Houston Texans select Mario Williams, defensive end, North Carolina State. The third choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Vince Young, quarterback, University of Texas.
10 years prior to this, with the exact same pick, the Titans selected Steve Mcnair. Because of Mcnair's skill set, Vince seemed like the perfect guy to take over his job. Pretty much instantly, we saw what Vince was capable of. After rattling off 6 straight wins near the end of his rookie season, Vince Young was a hot topic. His stats told a compelling story. He threw more picks than touchdowns, yet he was 8-5 as a starter and ran the ball extremely well. But this is where the problems began. A story came out after his rookie season saying Vince was considering quitting football. He later said this was blown out of proportion. Due to some of his off-the-field decisions and the lack of true support from his head coach Jeff Fisher, this was the beginning of the downward spiral. In year 2, he was benched in the preseason by Fisher for sleeping at home instead of the team hotel. This was one of the first times that we as the public saw these two butting heads. The Tennessee Titans performed well that season, but statistically, Vince was questionable. Even though they made the playoffs, the one game that Vince played was forgettable.
And another very impressive part of the Titans' success story today was the play of 14-year veteran Carey Collins at quarterback. He's in for the injured Vince Young. He was just terrific.
During Vince's 3rd year, he got hurt in week 1, and when he was healthy and ready to go, Jeff Fisher decided that he felt more comfortable going with the backup, Carey Collins, who, unfortunately for Vince, would lead the Titans to a 10-0 start to the season. They eventually went 13-3 and made the playoffs. Collins was a Pro Bowler that year, and it's almost as if the fan base had emotionally moved on. Fisher much preferred the approach of how Carey played, and it seemed that he had zero intention of playing Vince again. This is how the season ended.
The Tennessee Titans called police Monday night for help finding Vince Young because his therapist told coach Jeff Fisher the quarterback mentioned suicide several times before driving away from his home with a gun.
This was blown way out of proportion. They confirmed that his gun wasn't even loaded, and Vince said later that it felt like it was almost a setup. And now that he had this attached to his name, that sucks.
In sports, police in Nashville say the death of a former pro football quarterback, Steve Mcnair, was a homicide. Mcnair and his girlfriend were found shot to death in an apartment Mcnair co-owned with a friend. Police are trying to determine if the shootings were a murder-suicide.
How did you get over it?
I haven't got over it. You know, right now to the point that I'm just trying to make him proud as he looked down on me.
Vince took the death of Mcnair extremely hard. Steve was one of his mentors. They met when Vince was only 16, and he even attended one of his football camps. On top of this emotional distress, he still had a coach who didn't believe in him. Carey Collins was still the team's starting quarterback, who was not playing at the same level this year. The Titans were 0-6, and the team's owner stepped in and basically made Fisher start Vince. Based on his comments alone, you could tell that he didn't want to start Vince. He mentioned how he was still on Collins' side, and the record wasn't a reflection of how the quarterback played. But this is how Vince Young responded.
Good high kick. Case behind, watches. It bounces down. Stevens howling is there, and he stuck it at the 1. 9.7 on 6 punts in the game. 2 tight ends in from the 1. Young gets time, nobody open, and he throws and completes it. Young throws outside to Kenny Britt, and he's got it on first down. The pass batted in the air, and it's caught by Boski. 89 is in the game, and that pass is to Jared Cook, and he's out of bounds all game. They show blitz, they come with it, and the pass complete to Lavelle Hawkins inside the 30. Pressure coming, the pass caught by Jared Cook. Young fakes, throws, incomplete. Young fakes, started to run, they've got him. Everybody out. Young looks, throws, off the hands, incomplete. Off the hands of Nate.
If he doesn't make that error, they kick a field goal. They're kicking a field goal right here, Sam, for the victory.
That's right. Now they've got to get it in the end zone. Here it is. With the game on the line. Vince Young looks. Don't hold, don't hold. Runs, throws, caught. It's caught for a touchdown by Kenny Britt.
After going 8-2 as a starter, a 99-yard walk-off, and another Pro Bowl, it seemed like things were trending in the right direction. In 2010, Vince wasn't playing as well. He would deal with yet another injury, and after getting held out of a game, which led to an altercation between him and his coach, where he ended up storming out of the locker room, the bridge was finally burned.
Who are some of the teams that could look to sign Vince Young?
Well, it's interesting. The Miami Dolphins don't get a deal done for Kyle Orton. You wonder if the Miami Dolphins might jump in that mix. I think a lot of people still think, though, that you look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles that has been connected to Vince Young at various points throughout this offseason.
Vince was 30-17 as the Titans starter. He signed with the Eagles, and instantly the team became a major storyline. Michael Vick and Vince Young on the same team? Talk about the Madden Dream Team. But in Vince's 3 starts, he was underwhelming, and ultimately, he never got another chance.
Of all the publicized incidents, you know, whether on the field or off, what, if anything, looking back, would you do differently?
Keep my mouth closed, for one, and just play football.
You see, here's the problem with Vince Young. He's the kind of guy that you have to build a team around. I think this is most prevalent with Cam Newton, but you see it with guys like RG3 and Michael Vick. He's not just a guy that you can plug into a system and it'll work. Throughout his NFL career, he showed flashes, but due to an incompetent coach, multiple injuries, possibly Vince's work ethic, and no other franchise truly committing to make Vince their guy, that's all she wrote. Unfortunately for Vince, his recent track record speaks for itself. He was basically worshipped since he was in high school. To have everyone coddle you and look up to you like that, it doesn't exactly prepare you to deal with a fan base who will boo you, and a coach who will constantly butt heads with you. When you can't handle the emotion of the game, it's a ticking time bomb. He gave the CFL a shot in 2017, but after tearing his hamstring, this would officially be the end of his professional football career. Vince Young is a major what-if debate. Whose fault is it that he didn't succeed? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. But one thing that we do know, setting everything else aside, when it was late in a game and when you needed a play, Vince Young proved time and time again he was made for that moment.
Here come the blitzers. Vince Young on the run. Vince Young inside the 30. Off he goes. Vince Young inside the 20, the 10. It is over. Vince Young has done it again. A 39-yard touchdown run.